So here comes the fun part of downsizing is I found all of Randy's love letters to me from high school. And so, I mean, there's like a whole book. So it's just a reminder, I think I need to start putting these in a special book so that I can save them for Augie. I don't know when we got married if he thought that I actually kept them, but I did. So, yeah, it's fun. It started out really great. Like, I started with a lot of momentum. I cleared 3 boxes real quick. And then we got to the sentimental box, so this is going to take a minute. So it only took probably an hour, if I'm being honest. But it's fun. I kept all the letters that Randy sent me and my journal from when we started dating to when we broke up, and then I just stopped writing. But it's always, I don't know, to me, like, we're packing up our house and we're moving into a camper, and I thought life was getting less crazy, but I don't know, more to come on that message. But we are moving in a couple weeks, and I'm like looking at all the stuff that we have, and I mean, realistically, like, I don't need a majority of it. Which is kind of crazy, because even when I read this journal, it was like, oh, we're going to have a nice house and kids, and we just don't need it. And so it's kind of, I don't know, freeing almost to have this thought process of like, I mean, there's nothing holding us back. I don't need a box of decorations or anything like that. So I don't know. Today's a good day. You got me thinking, whoa, I don't know how we got here. Oh my, I think we better run. We ought to leave this place tonight. I'm telling you.
There's some smells going on in this truck. We've been cleaning out the garage all day today and kind of sorting through things, and we're headed to stores now to sort that out a little bit. Augie's really excited.
What do you think this is?
It's a chicken.
It's chicken butt?
No.
Oh, I think it's mud. Ew.
Ew. Hopefully it's not poop. Maybe that's one of the smells. But yeah, so we're trying to go through and figure out all the stuff we got and what we don't have. And Augie's really excited still.
For you to tell everything. Yeah, it's I was super excited because I was like, oh, I'm moving through this so fast, and then I found the sentimental box,
which is always her Achilles heel.
It is.
But I mean, we don't have a ton in the garage anyway. It's basically separating which area it's going to go to. Are we going to have it where we can immediately access it because we're not buying the bigger camper right away? So.
Well, I think it's funny as we're like putting stuff in the driveway.
I apologize.
As we put stuff in the driveway, our neighbors came up and like grabbed it. I think maybe it'd been there 15, 20 minutes. So I don't think we're going to have a hard time getting rid of some of our stuff. So.
Yeah, so we're headed to another storage to try to go through it and separate out stuff that we kept a few months ago that we went through the other day, and we're like, why? So we're going to go get rid of that stuff probably, and then be ready to move new stuff in.
Yes.
Me and Augie's going hiking. And a little trail we got here close to town. He's not been wanting to go outside. His hair's so long from these quarantine cuts that he gets wet and he doesn't like it getting wet. But we're selling the house, moving into the RV like we had been talking about. So I figured I would mention a few things that through this I've learned has made things easier with the downsizing. I think when it comes to alligators, I'll do more than 20-foot social distancing.
Wait, what's
Well, that was worth $5 to go to the trail that's closed.
Not.
I was gonna wait for a little bit different scenery to keep going. That's why I kind of stopped there and went to another one. But it is a concrete trail the whole way. Apparently, the actual bridge and boardwalk is closed here at the Sweet Woodland Waters Park. I'll find out exactly what it's called before I leave. But it was somewhere close that we wanted to come to. But we will soon, buddy. But I was talking about doing downsizing, stuff like that. And while Stephanie started a new job, so I'm handling most of it. But a tip for the guys: do not downsize the way you would downsize. Like, I would technically go in and throw away pretty much everything. I don't have much attachment to a certain towel or a dishcloth or anything like that, but women do. And maybe some men do, but my wife definitely does. But, so I have made several piles of laundry in the house, towels wise, wash rags, stuff like that, that I have zero attachment to, that she's gonna go through in her time. But I'll separate them into piles of, okay, here's the beach towels, here's this, so that way it should speed up the process for a little bit and we can get rolling. But yeah, just don't throw anything away. Make piles of different categories of things, so it'll make it quicker for them to go through, but it'll also keep you from getting in trouble for throwing away something that is sacred. Another tip: if there's something you think that is ridiculous to keep, that there is zero reason to keep it, and you just don't understand it, once again, do not throw it away. There's probably some kind of reason. So what I am doing, now granted, she doesn't have a whole lot of ridiculous things at this point to keep. She's gotten rid of most of those, but I take and put those in a separate pile, and it's kind of like, we're gonna move them. They're gonna go into storage or into the camper, but then if you don't touch it in 30 days, and 90 days, something like that, bring it back out, remind them they even own it, and see if they still want it. And then at that point, most people, they haven't used it in 90 to 120 days, they're pretty ready to get rid of it at that point, because there's not a need to store it and have that extra weight and just keeping stuff just to keep it. Nobody wants to do that. So we there's all kinds of stuff going on here with the trail that I gotta figure out. But they closed the boardwalk trail that I brought Augie to, which makes sense because you can't cross. It's not 6 foot wide, so you can't pass each other at all, so there's no social distancing. But yeah, so that's one of my things, is even if you don't think you need to keep it because it makes no sense to you, it makes sense to them somehow. So just let it go, keep it, even if it costs you storage for a few months. I mean, you're talking about a couple $100 for a piece, and not to drive somebody crazy. And my beard's going crazy. Little side tip not involving the downsizing part: during quarantine, gonna go on a hike. Research it a little better. I brought Augie out here. We've been looking at this hike for forever, so I didn't even think to research the fact that 90% of this place is closed. I spent $5.35 because they charge you 35 extra cents now to use your card because they're not taking cash. So I paid for that, and basically we have walked a concrete road and now a gravel road and saw all trees we could see in our neighborhood. So unless this changes up here in a little bit, make sure you're researching your hikes before you go so you know what you're getting into. One of the reasons I wanted to bring Augie on this hike, Steph's at work, but I wanted to bring him out here because during this quarantine he's gotten a little used to being inside, not doing much of nothing. He still enjoys going on hikes with the dogs in the woods and stuff like that, but we're at home, he's not really wanting to go outside that much. He's also got a mop of hair that when it gets wet it bugs him, so he doesn't want to sweat. So we need to get him a haircut, but he doesn't want to get haircuts. So we're not doing that yet, but trying to get him out on this hike, so at least we're out in nature, somewhat adjacent at least, during all this, and getting him some vitamin D. Right, bud? Yeah. All right.
But let's not go there. You got me thinking, whoa. I don't know how we got here. Oh my, I think we better run. We ought to leave this place tonight. I'm telling you.
So I was a little bit wrong on the trails out here. It is at least more open than I thought it was. There is one boardwalk, and he's loving seeing the little birdies and stuff. Keeps asking to go home still. He is sweaty and nasty, so I can imagine he's wanting to go. we're gonna get him some more vitamin D.
Sings, 'cause I don't know if it'll be enough, or if there's a way out. There's a stairway down for the both of us.
There's a lot more out here than we even come close to scratching the surface. Even that is open. There is a bunch of open areas that'd be great to walk through, but it is hot. It's supposed to be have a high heat index today and stuff, so we're gonna go home and then I'm gonna try to get with Steph, and we're moving. We get our place middle of next week. We're able to move out that way, and we're gonna take some time moving out there. We got till the 17th of July, and that's when we're gonna officially no longer be homeowners and we'll own our home. It'll just be on wheels. But so I'm gonna try to talk her into one day when, because I work half days right now, so I can take over Augie. I'll meet her here. We'll go for a little family hike, and that way I can go to the new property without Augie wanting to stay there already, since his bed and all that's gonna get the house. And we don't want to move anything we got to. Might as well enjoy our last 17 days in the house. But so we're gonna try to come back out here, explore a little more. So there's really not much I can say about helping to downsize. I mean, I wanted to tell a little bit. Hi, bud. Are you on the camera? And the main takeaway is do as much as it as you can with your stuff. And then if they want help with their stuff, you help. And when it's the communal stuff, just keep whatever they say keep. Eventually, it'll be time to cycle things out and it'll all come. There's no need to fight over losing a few little things that realistically it doesn't matter. You're talking about a couple towels, stuff like that you got to figure out somewhere to put it. It's a little bit of a pain, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really much of nothing. So just no need to argue. Just pick out the few things that really matter to you, keep those. If you have questionable things, you can always keep those. If you don't use them, give it a little while, and if it's $20 to replace it, might as well go get rid of it. But if it's something that you bought at a concert you went to 30 years ago that you're not gonna be able to replace it, you don't have to get rid of that until you're ready to. You don't want to ever regret that because you can't replace it. It's definitely more than $20, because then you gotta invent a time machine and gotta figure out the flux capacitor, all that stuff. It just doesn't, it's not that easy.
Pack up your suitcase, we'll find a new place.
She hasn't actually seen any of the video that Augie and I shot at Sweetwater the other day, where I was talking about the downsizing and stuff that we are doing right now, and things that I think guys should do in that process. So.
Yeah, I would say for me, I get very overwhelmed to the point where I actually start getting like nauseous. I think it's a mental thing. And it takes me a minute. There's certain things that I'm very particular about. Like, I think it's realizing too that there's differences. So like for him, a towel is a towel. It doesn't really matter, it just dries off your body. For girls,
it doesn't affect my hair that much.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I have certain towels that I like for my hair because my hair is curly. And I have preferences. And so when we were going through the towels, he picked out some, and I was like, no, those are not good for my hair.
I picked out the ones we had that matched.
Yeah, and I picked out the ones that are the fluffiest and the softest and the best for my hair. But I think it's part of, compromising, and what was most important to him was that we had less towels. What was most important to me is that we had the towels that made me feel comfortable.
We had a ton of towels, a ton.
And I imagine we'll have a similar conversation about blankets.
I wouldn't touch that closet.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it really is all about compromise and respecting that we all have our boundaries. We have our things that are, for whatever reason, important to us, and respecting that. So that's my tip, is just be really respectful. Just like with Augie, there's things that I don't know why we're keeping them, but they're important to him.
Every time we pull something out and get rid of it, it's his most important toy he's ever had.
You need to dry off your hair. You use that mommy's shirt.
No.
No, you don't use mommy's shirt. How about...
That's us downsizing, and we will see you on our next adventure.
Can you say see you on the next adventure?
Yeah, next adventure.
Yeah, that's right.